Welcome to Menopause Monday. Have you ever heard of lignans? Lignans are very beneficial for your healthy gut bacteria and also they're anti-inflammatory, and they're also really, really good for your heart. Now, through the menopause, this is specifically interesting to us because you might know as your estrogen levels fall off, you are more likely to be getting digestive problems, more bloating, constipation. You might be having irritable bowel type symptoms. And it's one of the really common causes or symptoms during the menopause. Well, the way lignans tie into this is the fact that we can get lignans from whole foods like grains, fruit, caffeine contains lignans, lentils, nuts, seeds, beans, that sort of thing, legumes in general. But for lignans to have a really beneficial impact on our gut, we need something called L+ lactic acid. And that enables the gut to really take advantage of these lignans. The lignans essentially act like a phytoestrogen. So they are a phytoestrogen. So it's like a plant-based estrogen. And when we eat it, it helps to support our falling levels of estrogen that naturally occurs during the menopause. But they are beneficial on multiple levels, particularly, as I mentioned, they're anti-inflammatory, so they're incredibly good for your heart, your immune system, anti-cancer, but gut health too. Now, gut health is, we have literally trillions, I think it's like 100 trillion different types of bacteria in our gut. And I talk about gut health quite a lot, but very few of us actually, I think, really understand the importance of gut health for every aspect of our health, including our mental health. And when we can get our gut health in order, you'll find you'll have increased levels of energy, you will boost your immune system, your skin and your hair and your nails and your vision and things like that will all flourish. But most importantly, it supports your mental health. Now, you might think, yeah, but that's fine. I eat probiotics and, I eat Greek yogurt and the supplements from the health shop and that sort of thing. That's great. However, some of us, particularly if you're struggling with the bloating, the constipation, the more gut related things that you may have noticed creeping up since you started the menopause or going through perimenopause. If you've had things like a tummy upset, if you've had antibiotics, even years down the line, if you had antibiotics a long time ago, it can have such a negative impact on the health of your gut. And it's always a balance. So the healthy gut bacteria are constantly sort of balancing out the negative bacteria in our gut. If you eat a diet high in sugar and processed foods and perhaps food that isn't so good for you, like dodgy food to give you an upset stomach, don't recommend that, by the way, you are likely to have upset the lining of your gut. Maybe, I don't know this specifically with relationship to COVID, but I would imagine because COVID affects our immune system, it's a virus, I would imagine it also has a negative impact on the gut, you would imagine, and the gut bacteria. So even if you've had COVID recently, I'd be really interested to know how many of us have had COVID now in the general population against those who have not had it yet. I know that's a complete aside, but it would be interesting to know, wouldn't it? So anything like that, any illness is going to upset the balance inside your gut. So while you might be having the probiotics, while you might be doing all the normal stuff to help promote healthy gut health, or the healthy bacteria in your gut, if you can combine the consumption of lignan-rich food, so like I said, it's the whole grains, the seeds, the nuts, the fruits, that sort of thing, caffeine, you can, when you then eat fermented foods, so there's something called like L+ lactic acid. When you eat foods that contain that, it enables us to get the most benefit out of those lignans. Now, if you have things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, kombucha, I'm going to come back to kombucha in a minute. So I'm running a free group starting on the 21st of March. And if you wanted to be part of that, message me and I'll give you the details of it. We're essentially going to be brewing our own kombucha. It's something I started about a year ago, and it's so much fun. It is so good for you. It's one of those fermented foods or drink that is going to really help to promote gut health. So if you can eat fermented foods, drink things like kombucha and kefir, that's going to go a really long way to providing the right environment within your gut for the healthy bacteria to flourish and to reduce the amount of negative bacteria that's residing in your gut. Things like I mentioned, antibiotics, obviously alcohol's not going to have a beneficial impact, nor is high sugar or sugary foods or processed foods. So if gut health is something that you're struggling with, you want to cut out sugars or reduce sugars and reduce the amount of processed food that you eat. When you pick up a packet, marketing is so deceptive and misleading. It can be labeled natural, healthy, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, yeah, this is going to be really, really good for me. Turn the packet over and have a look at the back. If you find it hard to pronounce the words that are in the ingredients, just put it back on the shelf. Go home, put an onion in a pan, slice up some mushrooms, maybe a few leeks or a bit of a leek chopped up, some tomatoes, some quinoa, sprinkle it with some feta cheese, add some roasted butternut squash with it. And there you've got, and maybe some lentils. You've got such a healthy, wholesome meal there. You've got vegetables in it, you've got whole grains, you've got legumes, you've got some of the cheesy stuff, got the protein as well. Protein's also in the legumes. And it's going to be so much healthier for you. It won't take long to cook. It doesn't cost much to make, rather than just buying the packaged stuff that is labeled as healthy, because most oftentimes it's not, and it could be quite high in salt too. Just another aside on labels, if you drink things like orange juice, just eat oranges. If you want orange, have an orange. Don't drink orange juice. It's had all the fibre removed. Quite often it's normally been pasteurized, so all the goodness has been killed in it anyway. And orange juice has as much sugar in it as Coke. So just be aware of that. A lot of salad dressings have high levels of sugar. There are a lot of hidden sugars in our foods. Flavored yogurts, they're high in sugar. If you want yogurt, get a natural live yogurt and just blend some fruit into it. That's a much healthier way of doing it. But if you do eat foods that have some level of sugar in it, look for just a few grams of sugar. I would say no more than 4 grams of sugar, and either equal or more grams of fiber. If you can have a low sugar grams and higher fiber grams, you're on a winner. So bear that in mind when you're going into the shops and having a look at food labels. But ideally, prepare your own food. I know people say it's expensive to prepare your own food. It's not. It costs a fraction of when you prepare your own. I mean, my dogs, I feed my dogs, both of them, for a whole week, and it works out at I think it's less than 43 pence for 2 dogs. And that's a small amount of high quality kibble. I poach some quinoa for them, a little bit of brown rice, bag of or some frozen vegetables out of a bag, and I roast a chicken, an extra large chicken that costs £3.50. And all that blended, I would just mix it together with my hands. I strip the chicken off, put the frozen veggies in, add the quinoa and a little bit of rice, and then I freeze that in portions, then defrost it the night before, add a little bit of high quality kibble for them. Costs a fraction. We do the same. We can do the same for ourselves. If you buy, if you want to get lentils, you want to get chickpeas, buy the bag of dried lentils and dried chickpeas. They cost next to nothing, rather than the tins. I know the tins are more convenient, but the dried, if you're looking to cut costs, dried is going to save you a lot more in the long run. Or the short run. It just means you've got to cook it or soak it first and then cook it. It's an absolute misnomer that buying packaged food is better for you or better value. It's not. Cook it at home. Eat seasonal. The fact that we're eating strawberries in January is just kind of weird, and they don't taste of anything anyway. Eat seasonal food. Support your local farmers markets. and your purse will thank you, but most importantly, your gut will. And if you're struggling with anxiety, if you're struggling with poor sleep, if you're struggling with poor energy levels, if you've got bad breath, if you've got the obvious gut related issues like cramping or bloating or constipation, that sort of thing, focus on your gut. And like I said, I'm starting that free group on the 21st of March. It is entirely designed to teach you how to brew your own kombucha. It's going to be fun. It's going to be quite a long group because we're going to be learning about it, getting the equipment, making our first brew, letting that ferment, flavoring our first brew, letting that flavor, and then bottling our first batch. But in between time, there's going to be a lot of information about gut health and just helping you understand the reasons why gut health is just so important. So I hope that's been helpful. Stay safe. It's a bit crazy out there still, isn't it? And let's see what happens. Any questions? Any comment? Please, I would love it if you could. If you're watching this on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I never know which way it is. If you've got a comment you'd like to leave, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, I will look forward to catching you soon. If you've got anything you'd like me to cover in a future episode, just message me and I will add it to my list. Thanks for listening.